as we talk about border ethics, as we talk about immigration, as we talk about the times, I want to draw from a personal experience. I've had the ability to visit Mexico a few times. I've been to Juárez, I've been to Tijuana, and I've been to the border at Tornillo, McAllen, San Diego. And one of the things that struck me when I went to Juárez in particular was how similar it looked to the Syrian refugee camps. And I started to realize that at some point, poverty, destruction, devastation all looks the same, no matter where you are. I also noticed that when you look in the eyes of a child that is caged at our border or is suffering the consequences of our bombs and our destructive foreign policy overseas, you see both the same sanctity that God has given to every single human being, and you also see despair, desperation. And one of the things that I'll never forget, some of you might remember Tent City. If you go online and you look up Tornillo, Texas, the Reverend Oscar was just talking about some of his work in immigration. If you look at Tornillo, Texas, Tornillo set up this tent city where they were housing migrants, literally, in tents. And there was no access given to the press, no access given to the media. And those children had no access to outside legal help, medical care, no oversight, completely whisked away from the American public that is ever so ignorant about the way that its tax dollars are being used to traffic children from Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Mexico, all for the sake of these vicious donors of Donald Trump and other people that belong to this segment of society that have no qualms about trafficking and oppressing the vulnerable for deeper financial gains. And I went to Tornillo, Texas, and I had the opportunity to actually interact with those kids. Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins was able to work to get us access to offer pastoral care. And I wanted to be able to do more. My colleagues, particularly at that time from the United Methodist Church, brought arts and crafts. We said, we'll take the time to do more than just talk to the kids and pray with the kids and pray for them, but actually, take some arts and crafts, give them some relief in the moments of the distress that they're in. And I asked for a brother to help me translate some of the verses in the Quran about hardship and ease, about supplication and prayer. And he did that. So I took Surah Al-Duha, I took Alam Nashrah Laka Sadrak, I took وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. Some of those verses about hardship and ease and God's help translated into Spanish for my portion of that. And when we got to Tornillo, Texas, I recited the Quran in Arabic, and a Hispanic Catholic minister recited the Spanish translation. And then those kids came up to us, and because their background, for many of them, they'd never met a Muslim before, their background is Catholic, and we were handing out food, and some of them took the bread as a form of communion. And they were coming up to me and they were asking for prayers. Even though I'm a Muslim, that's the human bond, that natural compassion that was flowing both ways, those smiles that were flowing both ways in those moments. And each and every single one of those kids, when they asked for prayers, asked for us to pray for their moms, asked for us to unite them with their families. They were completely oblivious to what my background was. All they knew was that there was someone in front of them that cared about them, And whether that was the United Methodist minister or the Muslim imam or the Jewish rabbi, whoever it was someone that actually took a moment to recognize their humanity and that wanted to contribute to their relief. I had a chance to offer the Human Rights Annual Lecture at Duke University this year. If you search up that lecture on border ethics, if you put my name on YouTube and put border ethics, you'll see that full lecture. I actually put images up of my experience in the camps at the Syrian border as well as the Mexican border. And you can see that devastation and how similar it begins to look. And the reality is that the divisions that exist amongst us theologically, the differences that we have theologically, are not the ones that are causing the death and destruction at our border and in so many places around the world. But the similarities in our humanity and our ability to dig deep into our theologies so that we could be further activated for the betterment of the people around us can actually make a positive difference in the world around us. We can actually do incredible things when we dig deep into our theology and use that for the betterment of humanity as a whole. As Muslims, we are called to offer shade and fruit not just to the Muslim community. Allah says about the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We have not sent you except as a mercy to the worlds, not as a mercy to the Muslims, as a mercy to the worlds. And so when we show up to the table, whether it is a Christian minister or a Jewish rabbi or someone from the Sikh community or whatever community they might be coming from, when we show up to the table, it is not about the theologies that brings us to that table in the first place. It's about how we're going to use what has been manufactured inside of us, what has been engineered inside of us, to support those around us and to show people the beauty of that engineering through our actions. We have to reach across these tables and recognize that there are people that are sick and tired of being sick and tired, that don't want to see this oppression anymore, that are willing to challenge themselves, challenge their communities, challenge their societies, to uplift the downtrodden, to uplift those that are in poverty, to uplift those that are in need, and feel activated by their faith. Not only unhindered, but activated by their faith to work for the betterment of all of those around them. As Muslims, Allah calls us to that. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we will answer that call. We are proud to work with our allies, and we are grateful to those communities that stood by our side during Muslim ban and in so many other iterations of Islamophobia that have come under this administration as well as previous administrations. But we want to be a source of comfort as well. We don't want to just be comforted. We want to be comforting as well. We don't want to just be a community that garners the sympathy of others when we are targeted, but we want to be a community that is able to stand with others as they are being targeted as well, and to be part of a solution where communities are no longer targeted on the basis of their faith or their race or whatever else that causes them to be targeted. So I pray that Allah allows us to lead the way in working with other communities, to uplift our brothers and sisters in humanity wherever they may be, and to be a productive force for good here in this country as well as the world around us. Allahumma ameen. Thank you, Mass, for putting this together and for this incredible convention, and to all of you that have been a part of this. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.